And captions should be on. Let me know if that is not the case. I think I put them on. Here we go. Okay. Hello, everyone. Welcome to our virtual Joomla user group that meets every third Thursday of the month at 11 o'clock a.m. Eastern Standard Time here in the New York City region of the US. I am Robin Clapp, and I'm your moderator with the help of Joe Sunny. We have a third, but he's not here yet. I don't see him yet. And what we do is we get together and we have introductions. Everyone goes around the room and says hello. Then we have a spotlight and then we have a speaker. And after that, you can chat whenever you want to for as long as we need. Please note that we do have a Facebook page. That's where I share this link. And I also share it to an email list. So if you're not on Facebook and you know someone who's not on Facebook who wants to be part of the group, just let me know their email and they will get the email as well. But the Facebook group has been really active for just like asking questions and getting answers from some really smart people, which many of you in this room are really smart people helping others. There's a lot going on in the Joomla community. There are a lot of other JUGs. There are events. We just finished up our J-Day USA down in Nashville, Tennessee. And we followed up with four webinars that were free. I think they were like every Wednesday, the last two, and there might be two more. But you've probably seen Laura post them in our Facebook group, and she has a big giant list of emails too. So I'm sure a bunch of you have already gone on, and I know Pat moderated one of them yesterday. So that's what's going on. If you have any questions or you want to share any news about what's going on that you know that I don't, which is probably a lot, go ahead. For our introductions today, I'm going to go around the room. I'm going to ask someone to speak and tell you who's coming next. Just say hello, where you're from, how long you've been doing Joomla, and if you're doing any wonderful vacations, fun things this month or next month. So let's go ahead and start with Joe Sunny, and we'll move over to Pat.
So I'm Joe. I'm from Canada. My Joomla claim to fame is that I'm part of the Joomla Day USA team, which is a lot of fun, and then co-host here or admin or helper with this Facebook group, which is great. And the most recent cool thing that I've done is created my own template in Joomla 5, and my new, my both my business sites, joejoomla.com and joesunny.com, are uh, custom templates with the help of the my site.joomla day USA template, which was Adam Melcher, and it's awesome. So that's me.
All right, Pat, you want to go next? And if you want
Yes.
to remember just to tell us if you're doing any fun vacation ideas.
Well, I'm not looking at any fun vacation stuff. My fun vacation was going to the J-Day USA event, and I am on the committee with that as well. I have picked up a new client, another town, and I love it because the towns are now referring me to more towns, and that helps my income a lot. And I also found out today that these little towns will subcontract through the state to get all of their sites instantly translated. They don't even know that Joomla does this or that I can set it up. So I have no idea what they're spending, but I'm going to find out. And I'm trying to think if there's anything else. Oh, I moderated the part 2 with Martin Blodnick yesterday, and that was fun. He has a module, he calls it a module that is on the administrative side that you would install. And right now it's free. So if you go to his website at J4, or I forget now, it's called J4AI. And then you can download it for free. The only thing he asks in return is that you do a review of it, an honest review. And that's about it for me for right now.
Okay, and I forgot to say who was next. Kevin and then Alan.
Hey, I'm Kevin. Not too much going on with me. Let's see. I just actually know lots going on with me. I moved to Colorado, so that's kind of my big thing that I've done recently. So for right now, more full-time work. Every day is a vacation. Um, I've been with well using Joomla since around like version 1 or 1.5 back when I was in like middle school 20 years ago. And now I have a bit more free time. I haven't done too much Joomla stuff lately, but if anyone has any suggestions for like tutorials you'd like to see written or guides on Joomla or really anything kind of tech related, feel free to reach out to me. All right, thanks.
Alan and then Ryan.
Guess it helps if I unmute. Alan Battinger, I'm located in Plano, Texas, just north of Dallas. I'm primarily a software developer, but I do Joomla primarily for my own sites. In December, I took over a couple of companies, and since then I've been basically resetting them up, which includes re-implementing their websites, which are written in ancient PHP, ancient MySQL, ancient Linux. And just last night, we went live on the last site, which was a major translation because it used ancient 4.2 PHP, 4 point something MySQL, and Linux 2 point something. And of course, none of the modules in the Joomla 1.5 were supported. And of course, the PHP won't run on a current one. But we rewrote all the PHP. I actually ended up writing a module and a component and getting them running on the new site. So right now we have them being beat on by the users to see if we missed anything. And if we haven't, then we'll turn them up live probably sometime the next week. We'll turn off the old site, copy the MySQL database out, dump it, import it into the Postgres database on the new site, and then turn the new site on. So that's what I've been doing. Been keeping me busy.
Wonderful. Congratulations. Ryan and then Ellen.
Okay, sorry about that. Hi, I'm Ryan. I make JCE. I am sitting in London and it's actually started to look like summer. So hooray for that. Yeah, I started with Joomla when it was Mumbo a long time ago, about 18 or 19 years ago. It's all been, yeah, crazy since then. So, there's an interview with me in the community magazine this month. If you yeah, so that's what I'm doing for 18 years. And kind of what's happening right now is there is a sale of JCE Pro subscriptions. So if you've just picked up a new client and you want to get them a JCE Pro subscription, for example, 20% off until the end of the month. So there you go.
Thank you. Ellen and then Emmanuel.
Hi, I'm Ellen Rothwax. I'm in Fairfield, Connecticut. I've been using Joomla since maybe 2008 or so. I don't really have any summer plans. Just going to take advantage of the nice weather. And I'd love at the end of all of this if maybe we can discuss some issues anybody's having. Like I'd like to understand the Discover tab in the back of Joomla a little better. And if anybody can give any insight to that, I'd like to talk about that.
And that reminds me, we're missing Tim Davis today. I'm not sure where he is, but he's taught me how to use that. And what it means, because he with all of those migrations, some things get lost, and that's what the discovery will tell you. And maybe you don't want those still there, so we'll tell you if things are still there and you want to and uninstall it manually. But Ellen has been taking advantage of the Facebook page asking questions, and I hope everyone else who does that as well finds it useful and people are helping you. Yes?
I do. People have been really helpful. I appreciate it.
All right, wonderful. Emmanuel and then Wesley.
Hi, everybody. So I used to live in the States for 28 years, and I am now in Paris. So I'm saying hi from far away. And I've been using Joomla since, oh God, before it was Joomla. I even submitted a name, which of course didn't get chosen, but for Joomla. And for the last 5 months or so, I've been helping the Joomla organization, volunteering on a couple of teams like the CMS release team. For those who like to dabble in the dangerous, we are about to release Joomla 5.2 Alpha 2. So that's coming up soon. And I'm also helping in the enhancement development team, which is the team that kind of collects like what new features should we add to Joomla over the coming short, medium, long term, obviously managed by the release managers. And let's see, well, summer plans. There's a little thing called the Olympics that's coming to my town. Yeah. So, you know, for a while I was like, do I stay? Do I get the hell out? But I actually, what they're doing, which is kind of cool, is every 2 weeks they release inexpensive tickets. So, you know, it's to kind of combat the ticket scalpers. And so I'm picking up, you know, random events that are inexpensive, because the last time the Olympics were in Paris was 100 years ago. So unless I break all scientific and medical records, I will not be around for the next one. And I kind of think, once in a lifetime opportunity. You know, I met Obama. That was a once in a lifetime opportunity. This is kind of a once in a lifetime opportunity too. So yeah, that's my sort of pseudo summer plans.
I love that. Wesley and then Anna.
Good morning from Tucson, Arizona. Wesley here. I've been hanging with Joomla since, gosh, version 1, or whatever year that was, and did my first
2005.
Yeah, there you go. Whatever that year was, 2005, a long time ago. And then did my first migration into 1.5 and onward and forward. I actually just pleased to say that I finalized my last website into Joomla 5, so I'm done with my migrations. And then I also successfully converted one component database into another, which was C comments to Joom comments. Of course, they have the tool to do it, but it was kind of neat because that was the site that I blew up, and I had to actually import part of the database in from the old database. So it was like, for me, it was a learning thing. I didn't fully know how to do all those pieces, but I got it all done, and and it's always fun to learn something new. And so I've been on a good learning curve lately. And as for vacation, I've got no plans until the end of the summer, and then I'm off to New Mexico.
Oh,
That's all I've got.
I think you like the arid states then. Anna and then Ed. I need you to unmute, honey. There you go.
I'm sorry. Yeah, Anna Robinson. I'm from Stockholm, Sweden, and I'm a graphic designer. I used to live in Paris.
Representing Europe, thank God.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I'm a graphic designer, but I've been doing Joomla since 1.5. But it's not like I'm a big agency, it's just me. So I have a few sites, but they are all version 5 now. So that's good. And yeah, for the summer, I plan to enjoy the sun. And yeah, and keep up with gardening. All the weed and the lawn that's growing all the time. Yeah.
All right, Ed, and then Ann.
Good morning. This is Ed Hathaway from Greensboro, North Carolina.
Okay.
I've been with the Joomla community since early days of Mambo that we used to break all the time, and realized early on that writing the core was a fun thing to do. I have no plans on the summer other than I've got a bucket list that we're going to be checking off in August. We'll be going to the Little League World Series for the first time. So looking very much forward to that with my son and my family. So big time family. So anyways, I am so excited to hear Ryan. For the longest time, we always thought he was a figment of everyone's imagination, but writing great edited code. So, Ryan, thank you so much for being part of this, and I am so welcoming your invitation.
Wonderful. Ann, and then FJ.
Hi, I'm Ann Nutter Thomas, and I'm from Syracuse, New York. I've been using Joomla since I began my business in 2011, when I kind of stumbled upon it and liked it better than anything else I found. Recently, I don't know if anybody else has tried Tesos Gallery option and is it advanced custom fields, but I had an opportunity to use it, and it's probably the easiest gallery setup I've ever had for a website. So anybody, you might check that out. Vacations, I don't have any planned away, but in a couple weeks, my mother is celebrating her 90th birthday, even though she doesn't want to admit it. And I have siblings all over the country that hardly ever are here all together, and they're all coming. They'll all be there for the celebration. So that'll probably be my big summer thing.
Nice. FJ, and then Lisa.
Hi, everyone. I'm in California, roughly between Santa Barbara and Los Angeles, and originally from Norway, so representing Europe and Scandinavia specifically. Been working with
Love
Joomla.
Norway.
Been working with Joomla.
I used to live there. Sorry.
Oh, good. Okay. Been working with Joomla since 2006, Joomla 1, and right now finally able to get some clients onto Joomla 5, finding that the hosting companies are the big blockade against that. It's exciting to meet Ryan. I have 176 days left on my pro subscription to JCE Editor. Been using that for a long time. Pass it on to all my client sites. And for vacation, my daughter and I are talking about going to Mexico City, so we'll see if that happens.
Ooh, very nice.
Mm-hmm.
Lisa, and then Magdalene.
Hello, I'm Lisa Kaiser, joining from Fredericksburg, Virginia, which is just south of Washington, D.C., dealing with some massive heat. It's already 83 degrees here, so it's been hot. Let's see, I've been working with Joomla since 07 or 08, somewhere in there, right around the 1.1, I think, to 1.5 transition. And let's see, fun things. Well, I have a Joomla J3 site that I was not able to successfully update, I don't know, a couple weeks ago. So I have to do it again and try again. It's running Civi CRM, which anyone who's worked with that knows it's a beast of software. And I originally built the site in 2010. So I'm sure it's got all kinds of legacy crap playing around. Anyway, it just kept breaking. So I'm spending my Saturday attempting to get this site upgraded. A Civi CRM security update came out yesterday too. So fingers crossed that it goes smoothly and I can get that site off J3, because I have so many that I need to get rolled out. And this is the most complicated. Anyway, no vacations planned, much to my children's chagrin. We've moved my parents into my house this year and are doing all kinds of construction. So it's a lot to have vacation. We might sneak out to the beach at some point, but nothing exciting on that arena. We spend our weekends at swim meets. So I'm like, it's a pool, it's vacation. Right? They don't agree. Anyway.
Magdalene, and then Bjorn.
Yes, my connection is very poor here. I hope you can understand me. I'm from Germany, and I once started with Mambo. I have done some websites every now and then, but not too many, because there were always too many other distractions, or how to say, other things to keep me busy. And yeah, now the children are grown up, and I would like to I have always been more interested in programming, and I'm not that much a salesperson. That is somehow a disadvantage. And now I'm on one hand on retirement, but I would like to do more Joomla and to make this work again. Oh, I have to go to my door. Thank you.
Oh, never too late. I love it. Bjorn and then Yorgos. Yorgos.
Moment.
I can't. Bjorn said I can introduce him because he's online only.
Schade.
My name is Bjorn Ove Brenz. He's 47 years old from Western Norway, and he has a few Joomla sites. Among them is joomlaforever.com and joomlabreadsea.com, and currently, which is under development. And he's going to be chatting, so you might see some stuff from him, and he's just going to join the meeting. Okay.
If I may, Björn Ove Bremnes.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for translating. I did not get it very well pronounced. Yorgos and then Mary. I see you've unmuted, but I don't hear you. Okay. I might let you just introduce yourself in the chat if this doesn't work out. And we'll go back to you. And then Mary, are you able to say hello?
Yes, I am. I'm here in Washington State on the West Coast. And for vacation, we did go to the coast last week. It was beautiful. And I've been using Joomla since Mambo days. I still don't have everybody over on Joomla 5, but maybe we'll call it a goal. How about that?
Wonderful. Okay, I'll say hello, and then we do have a spotlight speaker this week. So Soren's got 10 minutes to chat with you. Did we lose him? I hope not. Oh, no.
No, I'm here.
Okay, good. Somebody dropped out. I'm not sure who. Oh, wait. Emmanuel, are you? I might be like not seeing everyone because my screen. So if I'm missing anyone, please.
I'm here.
Okay, Emmanuel, say hello. The captions might be over you also, so that may be why.
I already said hello, though. I mean, I don't mind saying
You
it twice.
did. Oh, okay. No, all right. Sorry.
I didn't actually mention one thing, which was about Joomla sites. I just, in the last 3 weeks, updated about 40 sites from Joomla 3 to Joomla 5.1.1. The other 15 or so were already in Joomla 4 or 5, so it was obviously really easy to update those. And for Lisa's problem, I've been helping for the last 2 months, free of charge, people that I find in Facebook groups, that are out there. Giving about 45 minutes of my time to try to help, because when you've updated 40, 50 sites, you kind of get a sense for where things can go wrong. And so it's something I actually just talked to the marketing team about, potentially starting a Good Samaritan program where people like myself give a certain amount of time for free to help people maybe not do the actual migration to 5, depending on how complex the site is, but at least give them the right steps or the right path to get there. Because the goal, is obviously to get people over to 5 sooner than 5 years from now.
Love that. Wonderful. Thank you. So my name is Robin Clapp, and I am from the quiet corner of Connecticut, the complete opposite end of the state as Ellen. And my vacation was definitely going down to Nashville for JDay USA. So now I'm home for the summer with no plans, but I've got you beat. It has been over 90 degrees here the last 3 days. So I've been, I live right on a lake, so I've been jumping it every single day swimming. And I've been involved with Joomla for 18 years from the beginning, Joomla 1. I have about 70 sites I'm maintaining, and not all of them are at 5.1.1, but many of them are, and I'm still working at it. And I wouldn't be encouraged to do it unless I hear you guys say you're doing it every single time we meet. And I'm like, okay, now it's my turn. So thank you all for the encouragement. I'm also very excited to see our spotlight speaker today and our presentation speaker. One thing fun that I've done recently has been working with Adam Melcher on my client's site. He's worked with me on 2 of them, and this recent one has a lot of custom stuff functionality wise. It's for a hunting club out here in the quiet corner because we have a lot of woods. So it's my first hunting club, and they have all kinds of stuff they wanted done for members to be able to log volunteer hours and to be able to share stuff. And he's just jumped right in there and has been teaching me how to do it all. And it's really, really cool to work with him. So if you have anything like out of the ordinary that you want to be able to do with core Joomla, he's your guy. He can train you, and Joe will say the same about him. So that was really fun. That came out of JDay USA and some conversations we've had. One more person jumped on. Rich, welcome. If you want to say hello, your name, where you're from, I can give you the floor right now.
My name's Rich. I live in the UK.
Okay.
Just south of Manchester.
Lovely.
I've been doing Joomla for probably 10, 12 years. The only question I've got is I've got lots of sites that I need upgraded from 3 to 4, which is a complete nightmare.
Yeah.
How is everybody?
Well,
okay?
Rich, you missed the offer that I gave, or that I made, which is I give to the community 45 minutes per person or per site to help at least, if not make the transition for you, because that could sometimes be more complicated than that, but at least get you to do it in the right steps so you have the best possible success. So if you want to connect with me, I'm in France, so we're roughly in the same time zone as well.
Right, that sounds great, thanks.
All right. So hopefully Emmanuel and Rich are both on the Facebook page, or if you're both in my email list.
I don't think I am. So if you could put the Facebook link on the chat, that would be great. I can make sure that I am.
Wonderful. Okay. And so we are going to move on to our spotlight for 10 minutes. Soren, do you need to share the screen? You want to try that out, or you don't have to?
No, you get the pleasure of looking at me the whole time. I can talk for hours about myself. So no, just a joke. Thank you for inviting me to spotlight myself. My name is Soren. I'm originally from Denmark, but I live in Spain. I've been building websites since 1994, so more than 30 years. I was part of the team that built Lego's first website and a lot of other big Danish companies before I moved to Spain. I also started using Joomla back in the Mambo days before it was renamed to Joomla. Today I run a company called Jensen Technologies. We are about 8 people, and we are more or less purely focused on Joomla. We do Joomla and Laravel websites. We're quite focused on development. So we try to take on projects, complex projects, where there's a lot of PHP development involved. We are the developers of something some of you are probably familiar with, which is called Component Creator for Joomla. And I was just looking now, we have 75,000 Joomla developers who have built more than 140,000 Joomla components using Component Creator. So that's one of our things that ties us mostly to the Joomla community, I guess. Also myself, I've been active contributing to the Joomla project off and on. I've been serving on the board of directors as the director of legal and finance for a couple of years, and other than that, I've been actively contributing code and helping with bugs and stuff like that in the Joomla project. Yeah, we tend to mostly work with European clients, but that's, I guess, mostly because of time zone. The company is based in Spain. It used to be that all the employees were based in Spain as well, but now we've become like a fully remote, which means people are working from all sorts of different places. And I'm sure some of you are familiar with that. We're actually looking for an additional Joomla developer at the moment. Just before joining this meeting, I posted the job offer. So if somebody knows, I doubt anybody in this meeting are willing to work for the hourly rate we can pay. But we are looking for a Joomla developer if anybody knows some. Yeah, we've built websites for mostly small to medium-sized clients, but we have also won a couple of tenders or licitations, if you know what that is, with public projects in the United Nations level. And so we're building our biggest project by far is a project for the World Health Organization, which is a Joomla project, and which we have a dedicated team of 2.5 person who's just dedicated solely to that project, and have been for several years now. But other than that, we work for small to medium-sized companies. We've done a lot of international websites, multilingual websites. We've done like a travel agency auction website. And we tend to code everything from the ground. We've also taken over a lot of failing projects, a lot of projects that you know where somebody's maybe tried to outsource us to somebody who didn't know what they were doing. And I think one of the reasons we get those kind of projects a lot is because people use Component Creator and maybe they get stuck halfway through, and so we kind of pride ourselves with being good at taking over failing projects. So if you have any big complex failing projects, we can help out with that. Another interesting project we've worked on is actually a project that is disrupting the crop trading in Denmark, where there's been a duopoly, 2 big companies that have been buying all the crops in Denmark and then selling it back to the farmers. And now they can trade directly on a platform we developed with the client, and they have, how do you say, quintupled their turnover since since we've developed the solution to them. And they can now trade directly, so it goes beyond these. Thank you, and it goes beyond these. These duopolies. So it's a really exciting project for us to be involved in. I wanted to say I'm also very excited to see Ryan speak. I'm not 100% sure I'm going to be able to see all of it because Denmark is playing the Euro Cup soon, and I have to go down to the bar and watch it. But I'm a big fan of JCE as well, and I would like to hear what he has to say. I wanted to say my holiday plans are either Mexico. My wife is from Mexico, so we mostly go there, but we're not totally sure yet. Or we might go to Croatia for holiday. And then I just wanted to finally say that I'm probably most famous for writing Halle Joomla. And probably none of you know what that is. But I won a Joomla talent competition one time at I think it was a Joomla World Conference by singing Halle Joomla. You can find it on YouTube. And that's it. I guess I'm done with my presentation.
Well, I really appreciate, I think you should share that link to that YouTube video. I really appreciate you offering to be a spotlight today and answering my email. So anyone else who would like to be a spotlight in the future, please just reach out to me. This slot is always available, and we love to hear what everyone does in their personal life and what they're all about, more than just a quick little introduction. So thank you so much. I'm gonna unspotlight you. Let's do that.
One quick thing, Robin, that even Soren may or may not be aware of. His component is one of many, or tool, I should say, that is being going to be featured in a series of articles that are in the process of being written around component creation.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah, I was reached out to regarding that.
Okay. Sorry, didn't know if you...
I also used to work for the Joomla magazine, so I also know about that. Or volunteer for the Joomla magazine.
Oh, well.
That's awesome. No, I love that. So next up, what we're going to do is going to let Joe introduce Ryan, because he's really good at introducing. So you want to take the floor?
Will do. Thank you very much. We're really fortunate to have Ryan here today because I initially screwed up and gave him the wrong date for the meeting. And fortunately, I texted him earlier in the morning and said, I'm looking forward to seeing him. And he said, you told me it was the 21st. And I went, oh dear. Anyways, so he's here from the future. Ryan is here from tomorrow to present JCE. And I too am one of those guys that is really excited to see him because JCE has always been part of my tool set. So I'm not taking up any more time. Ryan, please go ahead and share all that cool stuff about your extension with us.
Right, thank you everyone for the kind words. I've got to figure out how to share my screen. I didn't do it properly last time, so we're going to need to do that. Okay, so we're going to need this bit. How do I do multiple ones? I'm a bit of a Luddite when it comes to this stuff. Okay, I think that's it. Yeah. All right. So I did that talk with Tim at the JDay USA, and he wanted me to do a little thing about stuff, useful things that people don't always realize JCE can do, or little shortcuts and things like that. It's an immensely complicated extension.
You have a couple of screens on top of each other. Is that how you want
it? Oh, yeah. Okay. I just want to kind of move those away.
Highlight the one you want.
Okay. Yeah. It's an immensely complicated extension. And when I look at the code, I am fully aware of that. And so it's got a lot of stuff going on. And so it's very difficult to figure out which parts I should be showing people at which time. But what I like to do generally is look at those things that are kind of quick to do, you know, like drag and drop stuff, pasting from Word, things that people are going to do like every day, or get their clients to do, and ways to make those things easier. And a few other things along the way. I like to start with this typography article here that's always included because it's nice and colorful and it's got a bunch of stuff in it. You can all see that, right? I've shared that screen properly. Is that good? Okay. All right. One of the things that you might not realize you can do just by clicking this button over here, you can see quite quickly what everything is. That something is a paragraph or a heading. It's H1, H2, H3. So if you lose those, you can't remember what your headings were. You get these little indicators here of what all of those are. So that's quite a useful little thing. I'm just jumping down here to lists. I've just remembered that if you click on a list like that, and then you click on the ordered list, then you can change, you've got extra things to change the ordering of lists if that's something you ever need to do, or reverse the list, which can be quite useful. It's something that maybe people aren't aware of. I get asked to add features, and then I do, and I don't always document them. And sometimes they're pretty cool features, and so people don't know that they actually exist yet. Another nice one that I've recently rediscovered, again, it's something that someone asked me to put in, or I thought it would be a good idea, and then I documented it on the documentation and forgot about it, is this one at the bottom here, reapply last formatting. So Control Option Z on the Mac. If I take this here and well, let me just take something fresh here, and I'm going to just apply a style here. This probably won't work because it's one of those things whenever you show it, you know, it doesn't work as a, so Control Option, yeah, see, Control Option Z, there we go. So you don't have to keep selecting something from the menu every single time. If you need to highlight multiple things, or for example, if you needed to use headings a couple of times, you didn't want to do it every single time, you can just use Control-Option-Z to reapply that formatting. Obviously, that's a stupid example, but it gives you an indication if you want to just do things very, very quickly. Let's see, I'm going to just clear those contents here. And let's see if I can get these other bits here. All right, this is the favorite. I think everyone finds this one quite useful. And it's just basically taking an image and dragging it into the editor. And that uploads it to the default folder for the image manager, wherever that is. It'll apply any formatting, any resizing, and any of that stuff that you've set up as well. So a quick way to get images straight into the editor, and you can just work with them. You don't have to go to the image manager and select all the stuff and just drag it and drop it. That's a nuthatch, I think, anyway. Another little thing with the image manager, the core image manager, the one that comes with the free version, if you go here to the parameters, and I've got the core image manager here, and I set use basic dialog to yes, right, and enable the file browser, what I get is that basic dialog. It's often desirable to have your clients use less stuff, so they make less of a mess of the website by adding all sorts of styles. So this will just give them the very basics. You can upload there, you can get your image manager there, or your file browser, and you've got a set of classes that you can apply. So just really basic stuff, a proper description, nothing like that. Okay, so that's another quick one, another nice thing to be able to do. And it works for the media manager as well. It's not set up here, but you can have a basic dialog for the media manager. If you just wanted them to paste in a YouTube URL, for example, or a video URL. So some nice little shortcuts there. What else? I'm sure you're all aware of columns, which is this tool that for creating responsive columns. So it's often quite difficult to set up image and text next to each other. You need to use divs and all sorts of other stuff. So columns does that for you. I'm just going to cut that and paste it over here. So we've got 2 paragraphs. So if I just drag those 2 paragraphs and I go to columns here, I can open it. It's going to create 2 columns by default because I've selected 2 paragraphs. I can set the gap size between columns, the stack width. So when the site is resized, that's the width at which the columns will stack underneath each other. So when you go mobile, right? And I can select a layout here, right? As you can see, so you've got this resizable, stackable columns. There they go, underneath each other. So typically that would be nice to put an image on this side. Let's just do that with that other trick. And the text on that side. So that will now nice and responsive for mobile. And you can edit that at any time and add another column, add column after, add more text in any number of it. You can change the layout as well if you wanted it to be slightly different. Okay, that's not a good example again, but there you go. So columns are really useful, helpful, especially if you're not using, I know it's quite in vogue at the moment to use these page manager kind of things like UTheme and to do all of that. So if that's a bit overkill for you, you can get a similar approach with these kinds of block style layouts in an article with columns. I'm sure you're also aware of, oh wait, let me just show you. We all know about the JCE as the best word cleanup in the business. Sorry, I've lost all my stuff here. Hate computers. I'm an analog guy. Okay, there it is. Word. Right. So this is like my most challenging Word article that I test with, that's got everything from bullet notes to footnotes and different text and everything. So, I mean, JC's got the best word cleanup in the business. It's better than the real tiny MCE. So perfect code without nonsense, you know, without all the word trash. So, I mean, I'm sure you're all aware of that one. It's been around for ages, but you can also do it straight in. You don't have to, you can just drag the code right into there like that, okay? It does the same thing. If you just wanted a portion of it, you copy, paste, whatever, you get your workflow going. I know some people are really quick when they're like markdown users that like to type a lot of things and they're really quick. You don't want a lot of dialogues opening and things like that. I'm not sure what else I should tell. One other thing here, I like this one because it's great if you've got clients, again, who you want them to do stuff without messing the site up too much. With the template manager, you can create these template items here. I've just done some examples here. There's a YouTube one, which doesn't actually work, so I'm not going to use it. And here's a simple image one. So this can be a file containing HTML code, or it can be the code itself. And here I'm just using these little variable examples here. And what that's going to do, if I've included it as actual text there, you'll see I haven't done the usual lowercase variables, because that's going to actually be useful when I go into the editor and select it from here. So those saved will be off the drop down here. And these are dynamic. So if I click that image one, that URL variable is now a label. So the client can paste in the URL there and a description. And obviously, you've got the image manager, so you're not going to use that, but you could do that with just about anything. If you wanted them to do a simple thing where you need them to put content into the editor without messing around too much, that's a nice little thing to be able to do. So that's in the template manager. If you just go to the parameters, you can see all the things you can do there. What else can I show you? I mean, we all here's on Tim's page. So
we do have a question in the chat, and others can ask if they want.
Yeah, sure.
So Anna's asked, is it possible for text to wrap from one column to the next column to the next automatically?
You mean wrap into the columns? So those columns are they're just divs basically. So they are going to the text inside them is usually within paragraphs, so it's going to behave accordingly. So as they are divs, they're just containers, so they can contain anything. But when they wrap, they're going to wrap underneath each other. It uses Flexbox, so as they wrap, it's just going to. And the really nice thing about it is that by default, it uses sort of like a generic set of CSS, Flexbox CSS. In the parameters for the columns, you can set it to either use Bootstrap 5 or 6, 5 or 6, 4 or 5, 4 or 5, and or using URKit for people who use that. And what that does is you can create those columns, but when it saves it as Bootstrap CSS code or URKit CSS code. So if you're already using those in your template, they will work. And then it converts it back to the generic thing when you see it in the editor. And you can then, on top of that, for example, with Bootstrap, you can go into the code and include your own little additional CSS, Flexbox CSS from Bootstrap or whatever you want in there. I know that probably doesn't answer the question, but it's basically the way they work.
It does. Yeah.
I mean, you're all aware of that. You can do this. Let's just take Tim's video here, copy address from YouTube, and just paste it straight in. Okay, so you don't have to go a whole bunch of things, and these are all resizable.
Nice.
And so that's a preview. You can see the YouTube video before you. If you wanted to, you can. What is it? Click to after Alt to click to toggle place over. What's Alt in Mac? Option. There we go. That's not useful, but it does work. And yeah. I'm just thinking what else I was going to say. Everyone know about the new AI assistant for JCE? It used to be called ChatGPT for JCE, which was kind of dumb. And it also was probably potentially an infringement or a trademark. So I've renamed it to AIA, AIA, which basically stands for AI Assistant. So it's a simple AI assistant that you can use. You'll need a ChatGPT account and you'll need to have credits on that account. But you can get it to write stuff for you. For example, sorry, words about you. And it's always interesting what it comes up with. And it's written it in a different language. This is the thing about ChatGPT. It is sometimes really great and sometimes completely random. For some reason, it thinks I am Spanish. So that's interesting. Anyway, that's got nothing to do with the plugin. It's just got everything to do with ChatGPT. But yes, so you can get it to, let me just undo that. So it integrates with the spell checker as well. So it'll do contextual spelling of the content, multilingual as well. So that's an option you enable in the plugin, and you can, if you've got multiple languages, I'm not sure why you'd ever have multiple languages in one article. I'm sure there's a reason for it, but it can spell check all of them and provide appropriate results for each. There we go. So it'll tell you what you're doing. Okay. It is subject to the whims of ChatGPT and what it happens to be doing on a specific day. But you can use the latest model, which is 4.0 or something like that. So you can use the version 4 models as well, if your account allows it. And one of the other cool things, like you can create your own prompts for it to use. You can do that in the profile and the parameters. You can create prompts. So I've got a number of them here. You can just tell it what to do and give an example, and if it requires selection or not. It requires selection if you need to sort of shorten content, and it's going to do that. And then you can click to show the differences that it's done in shortening that content. And then when you insert that, you can then accept or reject the changes it's made. It can make a bit of a mess if you accept just one, for example, and reject that one. So that's, and then you can just accept all or reject all. That's quite a useful little thing. Lots of little, you can basically tell it to do anything, any kind of prompt you can come up with. So I've just got some examples here: formal tone, casual tone. Those are common things that people want to do. You want to make an article sound more technical. You want to make it sound more casual. So that's the AI assistant. So that's available with the JCE Pro subscription. You'll need a Pro subscription to get that one, but it's a separate download on the site. In the plugins area, for the editor, there it is, AI assistant. And there's a full instructions of how to use it on the download page. So if anyone's interested in that, get some AI action, AI help. It's a simple AI program. It's designed to use within the editor itself. It's not a patron for AI, which is something else that really cool extension from Yannick. But yeah, I think, I don't know if that's interesting enough. Is there anything else anybody wants to know? Ask me questions. I'd actually prefer it if you ask me questions, because there's tons of stuff I don't know how people use the editor or want to use the editor, and that's gold. After 18 years, I still don't realize exactly how people use JCE every day. So it really helps me to have really difficult questions about stuff. So fire away, please.
So Ryan, you have add-ons as well too that people can use with JCE.
Yeah.
For one of the things that I use is your pop-up thing, and
yeah.
and I really like that. Can you talk a little bit about some of the add-on plugins and things that
Sure.
work with it?
Well, I would show you a new one I've just released. It's got a rather silly name, but anyway, it's a very web 2, web 3. I don't know what web we're on at the moment. Responsify. So this is a simple little plugin to make your iframes and video responsive. So here's the example of a iframe. That's an actual iframe. It's not an image of an iframe. So iframes aren't responsive by default. If you insert one into a page, if that goes to a mobile device, or if you resize the page or whatever you want to do, iframe's not going to behave properly. But obviously everyone's putting YouTube videos on their site. They use iframes and they want them to scale. So it does require additional HTML and CSS to do that. And this plugin does that for you. And here I've got there's a full width option you can enable. So you can have the YouTube video scaling full width. It basically adds it. It works on video as well. Adds a little bit of CSS to ensure that those remain responsive. And there's a couple of other options you can use for iframes. For example, iframes don't support the post attribute. Now in YouTube iframes, there's usually some kind of background image. But if you're putting in a custom iframe, you might want to, that has like a black background for whatever reason, you might want to put an image in that. So it supports a poster option, which you can use by just adding a data poster attribute onto the iframe code. It's a little bit techy, that one. And there's also a click to play option. I know maybe in Europe, some countries in Europe, it's with GDPR, it's not that cool to have YouTube load by default. So the click to play option adds a, basically it removes the content of the iframe, puts a big play button there that you have to click before it loads the content in. So that, I think that's cool, makes it cool with GDPR. So some people might be interested in that. And as Joe said, there's the media box plugin, which I've had forever. That's due a rewrite. But anyway, so that's that creates your Lightbox style pop-ups, and that integrates with JCE, and that you've always been able to create them using, say, the links. There's a dedicated tab there for that. So you can basically just create a pop-up to something. You're not going to be able to see that, but that creates the code that triggers media box in the front, and you get one of those Lightbox style pop-ups. I'm sure everyone's familiar with that. It's been around since forever. Since actually it's almost as old as JCE itself. And it's been rewritten a couple of times, and it's due a complete rewrite, but to make it, you know, all modern and stuff. I always struggle to get, I don't know if I've got a good link of it somewhere.
I do have a few questions for you when you're ready.
Yes, sure, fire away. I'm ready.
So Anna has asked, I never used Markdown directly in JCE, but I think it's possible. Could you show us, please?
Yes. You need to have the option enabled. So in the features and layout tab of the profile, you've got the Markdown option there, so that needs to be enabled. And then in the editor, I'm just going to go here to the documentation. There's the whole page on Markdown. It doesn't support absolutely everything, but most of the common things like headings, bold, italic, strike through. It does support lists, links, it does support that. There's a beta. There will be an update next week, fixes an issue with absolute URLs for links, support images. And you've got drag and drop support. So if you have a Markdown file, I found that thing again. If you have a Markdown file, you can just drop it into the editor, and it converts the Markdown for you. So like often you get these README files and stuff, or some people just like to use Markdown. So I'm not that cool with it. I can never get in. Oops. There we go. So, I mean, Markdown's supposed to be fast, but yeah, I'm pathetic at it. But, you know, there's the example. I think something is bold if you do the hashes, the stars, isn't it? There we go. Some of them are inline, and some of them require an enter. So, like, I think if you're doing the bold one, and you, yeah, so that's inline, so that does it as you type. But others like the headings, because they block elements, you need to press enter. For me, I'm not a huge fan because I find it kind of clunky, but I know that some people are like really like super typists, and they can, you know, like images, you have to go that, and then you, what is that called, a bang, and then you have to do this for the description, and then you have to do that for the URL. So I've always found that quite, you know, when you've got other tools available, like just dragging image. But I know some people are really, really fast typists and that kind of thing. They get a kick out of using that. So the support is, I mean, it's got all the main things. You can check them on the documentation. I don't think it's ever going to be expanded much more than that. I did fiddle around. It's quite a complicated bit of code that comes from the tiny MCE, and yeah, it has its limitations, but there's a fair bit of stuff in there. So if you're one of those markdown typists, you might get a kick out of using that.
So
Anything else?
FJ has a couple questions.
Yeah.
You want to unmute? There you go.
Oh, thanks, Robin. Thanks, Ryan. I just want to point out, I see that you're using the visual blocks, which is something that I teach my clients to use all the time, and I make it available on the toolbars.
Yeah.
So that they can see what they're doing. I mean, it's important for accessibility, things like that, to have the proper markup. So that's super helpful. And there's a couple of others I just want to point out that I use a lot is the code cleanup, because a lot of times people
Right.
paste in and they can get rid of the formatting.
Yeah.
And also the show hide or the toggle toolbars, because I
Yeah.
tend to hide the I like to make the table toolbar or the table tools available, but some people who have done this for a long time are tempted to use that for layout. So I hide that, but it's available for them if they want to do an actual table. My question is this. I do a lot of customization of the editor, and I'm wondering, there used to be kind of vertical tools that could separate things out, and I'm seeing fewer of those. I'm wondering.
Yeah, they don't exist anymore. They were a bit clunky to try and get positioned properly in the when you drag them in the features and layout thing. They were quite difficult to use because they were so thin. And if you made them any thicker to give them a hit point, a bigger hit point area, they wouldn't accurately describe what their spacing, if you know what I mean, when the toolbar was rendered. And I must have gotten rid of them like 10 years ago or something like that.
Yeah.
I think that was
for a
an
long
issue.
time.
They were kind of like weirdly kind of clunky to get working, and people didn't know what they were. And then, yeah, I'm not sure how I could do it in a better way.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's no actual visual way to divide the things up. I know that. So it's a bit.
Yeah. Yeah, I was able to provide a little bit of visual separation, but
yeah,
I got around that by just adding, just separating the various items out on toolbars. So
yeah,
and then using the toggle toolbars to make it a little bit simpler when when the clients first encounter it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just wondering about that. Thanks.
Okay.
Hey, Ryan.
Anything else?
I see that Wesley's asking about your font awesome icons. Can you demonstrate that?
Oh yeah. So I'm not sure which. I hope this is the latest version. So this had been requested for a long time. It's a bit of a difficult plugin to get working really properly. It basically relies on font awesome that's included with Joomla. I think Joomla 5 uses version 6. So that must be configured. Yeah, we got it on there, version 6. I'm assuming that font awesome, not font icons. Yeah. So so it includes most of the basic ones and some of the brand ones. And well, it does what it says on the tin. So it's just for for inserting font awesome icons, which will then display in the front end, provided you have, well, the Cassiopeia template includes it by default, font awesome. So, but it does display them using the solid mode, not regular. There's a bit of a weird bit of code that's been hard coded in somewhere. So there was a user that was questioning about that the other day. But yeah, so you've got all those font awesome icons at your disposal there. Can add more. And it renders them out as spans. I know that it's common to use the I tag for that, which is actually italic tag, so it's not semantically correct. I don't know why Font Awesome insists on continuing to do that with this non-semantic tag, but I know I for icon, but it doesn't actually stand for icon. So it renders them out as span tags, which are perfectly fine for these purposes.
What about
Right.
sizing them? I noticed that you, in the Font Awesome drop
Yeah,
down,
you
have
can.
sizing.
Let's say beer, because it's beer o'clock here in London, I think. Yeah, definitely beer o'clock. So you can keep the sizing here.
Oh.
There we go. So that uses the Font Awesome sizing class. You can actually just, because it's a font, I think you can just use the font size as well. So
Okay, that's awesome. What about coloring it?
yeah, let's try. What's going to happen? Well, yeah, there we go.
There you go.
We're going
Now
to the code.
that's worth the price of a Pro right out of the gate. Now, is that Pro only?
Yes, that's Pro only, and that is a separate one you'll need to download as well. Font Awesome. So if you go to Downloads Plugins, Editor, there it is, Font Awesome for JCE. And the details there will give you the configuration, installation, and usage as well. So that becomes with the Pro subscription. You should discourage your users from using those colors, though. They're always there, but it's not great to have all that inline styles on a website, especially when you've spent all that time creating a beautiful template for a client, and then you give them access to those tools, and they do Comic Sans red everywhere. So that's one of the reasons it comes as by default with all the tools, but you're supposed to go into the profile down here and remove all the offensive things like the ability to change fonts and stuff. Otherwise, you're going to end up with a website with Comic Sans everywhere, which, in my opinion, is the greatest font ever invented. And that's probably quite controversial, but it's probably used more than any other font. Making posters in every workplace of the world over for the weekend barbecue. So that's why. Anything else?
You should take note of that, Soren, and use it in your World Health Organization website project.
Everyone sees it instantly and they feel happy because they know it's like a happy font. Right?
Emmanuel said that he missed a bit of audio. Does the Responsify plugin require JCE, or does it work directly with Joomla 5 Tiny MCE?
It's a Joomla plugin, so it doesn't require JCE at all.
Okay.
So it doesn't require you to do anything. It only does that on a very specific set of iframes and local iframes. So including other stuff, it's not going to do it automatically. You can add a WF responsive class to it, but yeah, you can also specify where you want it used by menu or by component, so you don't have to have it loaded on every single page. I'm going to probably fiddle around with that over the next few months to see how I can optimize it, and as well so it doesn't load if there's nothing on the page and things like that. But yeah, you don't need to. You can use it with Tiny. You shouldn't really be using Tiny, and you should be using JCE Pro, as you know. But if you have to.
I know you feel that way. I have to be honest. I don't like JCE. I'm sorry. I'm the horrible person in the room.
Well,
I find it too complicated.
Oh yeah. Well, you can simplify it.
When I put it in the hands of people, users, they find it too complicated as well.
Yeah,
so
but that's always why you need to start with it and kind of simplify it down. So remove everything, and then start from scratch. But I am working on some tiny MCE plugins, with some of the sort of key features that I can bring across. So Aya, the AI assistant, is going to be coming to tiny MCE for Joomla. So will columns. So will the paste functionality, so the cleanup. Tiny MCE, the free version that's included with Joomla, doesn't include a more advanced paste cleanup. That's like a very expensive add-on that you get from the tiny people themselves. But in the next few months, I'll be adding. You will need a JCE Pro subscription for that. But if you don't use JCE, you might want to use those plugins. And so that's something you can use. So there was another one I was going to do 4. I can't remember what the other one is. Anyway.
I do have more questions.
Yeah.
Mike has asked, why does it seem like the default editors use a BR tag and not a paragraph tag?
By default, it does use paragraphs.
And
if yours is doing break tags on enter, if that's what you mean, then you've probably got your configuration. In the global configuration, there's an option here to how those things are handled. So container elements and enter key. The default is paragraph. If you've got it on none line break, it's okay, it works. That means that when you hit enter, you'll create a, let me refresh that, sorry. When you hit enter, it'll create a break, not a paragraph. Shift enter will then create a paragraph. Some people like to do that because they don't want paragraphs wrapping around everything. Tiny MCE, tiny since the beginning of time, and now in going into version 7, it like almost insists on having a block element around text because it's very, very, very difficult to keep it under control if it's just floating in the sea of this. It doesn't have start and end points of selection. It gets really, really complicated. JCE's kind of maintained the ability to not have the paragraph around your content. What I mean by that is if I'm doing that, you'll see it's just breaks. There's no paragraph at all. I'll go to the code, you'll see no paragraph, just breaks, which kind of makes sense in the content management system sphere sometimes because everything's going to be inside a div or something anyway when it's rendered in the front. So some people like to have that on, but if you don't and you're wondering why that's doing that, just go to your global configuration. It can be set per profile too if you wanted to do it for specific users or specific use cases where you don't want paragraphs. So you can do it per profile, for example, like a, I don't know, where it would need to be used, but you can create a specific profile for a component that needs to have line breaks only. Okay. It's all about the profiles, by the way. That's like the most powerful feature of it all, is that you can customize a profile for a specific user group component, you know, so the ordering is important. I've spoke about that with Tim, and that the ordering of profiles was important. So for example, if these ones here, that front end one is not going to be activated when you're in the front end if you expected it to, because the default one is configured to be on the front end as well. So you have to change the order like that, right? So it goes from the most restrictive down, right? So if this one is assigned only to the front end, this one is front end and back end, then that one needs to be before that one. Otherwise that one will be used. So that's the ordering. So when you create your different profiles and start to restrict them to users and user groups, you have your one that everybody uses right at the bottom and everything in your levels of restriction after that. And so that's one of the most important features of the whole thing, because you can create specific editor instances for individual components. Like if you only wanted certain toolbar icons or features for some components, you wanted a newsletter component to only have this, you wanted your articles to only have that, etc., etc. So that's like the key thing, the killer app or whatever they say. Anything else?
Yep. So Ed had more of a comment than a question.
Yeah.
I think I want to ask Ed a question about that. He mentioned that the spans and some font size tags don't pass accessibility. And I wanted to ask Ed, are you an accessibility expert? And would you like to do a presentation for us? So here.
No, we're diving into accessibility partly because of the New York State laws, or soon to be New York State laws. And we're finding out that span and font sizes within a paragraph are not passing some of the accessibilities. The downside to that, Robin, is not everybody's on board on whose test is going to be the definitive answer.
Okay.
So
I love accessibility and I do a lot with it, and I'd love to hear anything you have to say about what tests you may use and you know the different ways in which you test your sites. So we can talk about that offline. Didn't want to take over this. I'll keep going.
Same here. I just wanted to throw that as an FYI.
No,
I think one often sees font icons in a UI that are associated with a button or some kind of other interactive element. Okay. And that interactive element itself has appropriate accessibility roles or area attributes And then the font icon itself would usually have a role of presentation because it serves no other purpose. So a screen reader, for example, is not going to, be concerned with it. It's concerned with the button or the UI element that font icon is used in. It's not great to be peppering articles with font icons, but I do sometimes what my users want me to do. So they keep buying subscriptions. So if people want font icons in their content, I'm down with that. If I can make it happen. Yeah, it's accessibility. It's an incredibly difficult thing to get right. I'm trying to figure out how to do it properly here. So yeah, it's an ongoing thing that's obviously an important thing to be doing, but it's incredibly difficult to get right. Anything else?
Well, Bjorn says Ryan needs to have butter on his bread too. Not everything can go in the core. Comment from the peanut gallery. All right, let's see. Oh, Emmanuel suggested maybe a JCE easy version.
Yeah.
In addition to so lots of good comments.
I think the as it's progressed, it's added more and more features, and the parameters and all of that thing's got more and more complex.
Yeah.
And it's very difficult to go from there back down. Like I know that the profiles I should try harder to make these a little bit more representative of things that people would use, but honestly don't always know exactly what people want, how they use it, which is that's something I need to know, like what's the average user, what buttons do they use, because and I think it's different for everybody really, and that's why I give the default and there's options to remove.
Maybe during install, a question of, are you used to JCE, and then you load the whatever you normally load, and for those who are not, then maybe a 2 or 3 question thing that leads you to know, okay, they're a really beginning user like me, and we're going to give them a simplified interface, and then you can always delve into more.
Time, resources. It's just me, by the way.
What
So
do you mean?
I do all the.
You don't have 36 hours in a day?
No, I already work 7 days a week. Sorry. So I do all the development, I do all the support, I do all the documentation. So it's a one-man show. So yeah, I kind of have to do things as they come. Yeah.
Makes sense. Makes sense.
But we might tag Emmanuel to do something on accessibility in a future meeting. So Joe, take note of that because he says he's an expert. That's why
I didn't say that. I had extensive knowledge. I didn't say expert.
Okay.
Viviana, if you want people who are really into it, Viviana, Brian Tiemann are very much into accessibility.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I would put them up.
Yeah, Brian did a good article in the magazine this month.
Oh, wonderful.
About using AI for.
I'm interested in just throwing it out there and what people use for the test. I'm interested in what people use for the testing, not inside of Joomla, but as the website renders what they're doing to prove to you're broken up a little bit.
I use WebAIM. I use a solution by WebAIM.
All right. So one last question.
Yeah.
Joe, and I think we'll wrap up and maybe go into some post-meeting discussions. But Ellen said, could you just demonstrate the image options for resizing?
Right.
Because she always does it in Photoshop first. And does this mean I don't have to?
Well, to an extent, it depends on what you're doing in Photoshop. But so it's all set up via the profiles. If you go to editor parameters file system in JCE Pro and you scroll down, you've got these image editing options here. So these are things that you can do to automatically do things. It's either set things up or get things to be done automatically when an image is uploaded. So this is an interesting one here. There's an article on the website about this in the tutorials, but remove EXIF data, you want that probably most times to yes. So people may not realize it, but when you're going out and snapping pics with your iPhone, in most cases, unless you've configured it not to, it's putting a whole bunch of data with that photo, the EXIF data. So it includes the location, the type of phone, all sorts of other things. So you may not realize that you are exposing your location of your house, for example, in your photos, and then you upload that onto a website straight up. Often when you're using Photoshop or something to pre-process it, you can remove that data when you save it. There's usually options to do it, and the Apple Mac on Photos, it'll do that for you automatically. But that is something that you're going to want to do. It's quite large, so it can reduce the file size quite a lot. So you want remove EXIF data to yes. I usually keep it on no, just because you don't want to do things to people's stuff without them knowing about it. And so it's like a mantra over the years: don't mess with people's things if they don't know what you're actually doing to it. So remove EXIF data to use for one. You can set the upload quality here. So this is like the JPEG quality that you'll see often to an image. If you wanted it to be slightly smaller in file size. ImageMagick, iMagick should be on most servers now. If it's not, ask your host about it. Otherwise, it's using PHP GD2, which is a bit slow in memory, a bit of a memory hog, so big images will struggle. Ask your host to enable iMagick. And then here we've got the upload options. So you can show them in the resize dialog. That's by default. So when you open the Image Manager extended, you'll see the upload options in the dialog there. You can hide them. If you want to say no, set the state to on. That means that they won't be seen and the resize option will be checked. So if you wanted to use it, automatically have the images resized on upload, or when you drag and drop them into the editor, like I said before, but you don't want them to fiddle with the values, then you can have that checked in the parameter, but not available to fiddle with, right? And enlarging, this is usually off if you want an image to be resized larger than it is, which is usually not a good idea because they pixelate. And then you can set various options here. Okay, so you can create multiple versions of this. Sorry, I've got to move that. Right, so you can create multiple versions of this, and this is basically a representative of this here. So your width and height values, right? If you've got multiple versions of them, then when you resize the image or upload the image, it'll create multiple versions of that image with those sizes. So 800 by 600, 102, 476, etc., etc. You can set it to crop to fit. For example, if you wanted a square, right? You can set the resize for that. So resize suffix, you can give it a name. So I want to call everything that's 1024 by 768 HD for some reason, dash HD. Okay. Let me just give you an example. Just quickly here. Okay, if I save those, I'll get rid of this one. Well, hopefully, see the resize options are gone because I've set that to no, but they're enabled. So if I upload an image now, by dragging that one into the window, it should, hopefully, I've resized that 800 534, and we should have multiple versions of that image. There you go, the one with HD on it, that was 1024 by 768, the original. Oh no, that was the other one. Yes, and there we go, the one that's been resized to 800 by 600. So that allows you to do that without your users messing with it. Obviously, if that option was enabled, you would see those in the upload dialog, and you could fiddle with them yourself. Does that answer the question?
Sorry for sneezing.
Yeah, yes, thank you.
Okay, great.
Okay.
I'm going to hand this meeting over to Joe at this point. You want to wrap things up with the presentation?
That was an awesome presentation. And
sorry, can I just interject one thing, Joe? Sorry.
Absolutely.
I must show you this because I'm working hard on it, but it is part of the new JCE 3. So there's big changes coming. But this is one thing I want to stick my leg out in another direction as well. So if there are any people here who favor Joomla but use WordPress and like JCE and like the classic editor in WordPress rather than Gutenberg block editor, you will be getting an option to use a JCE style editor in WordPress in the near future. So for those people, and the idea is that parameters will be able to be used in Joomla and in WordPress. So it's a very, very similar editor. It'll be mostly visually the same as the version that will be in Joomla, except for the WordPressy bits. But yeah, that's an exciting avenue that I'm going down. So we'll see how that works out. Thank you.
That's awesome that you offer options to the WordPress people to use JCE instead of Gutenberg. I have a suggestion for another plugin option that you might give to the WordPress people. Have something in JCE where they can click the button and convert the website to a Joomla website.
Yeah,
That's
a big button. That's a complicated button.
Anyways, Ryan, that was awesome. Thank you very much. I really appreciate you. You know, there's so many things you've opened up that even like I'm not aware of. We're also busy doing stuff that when all this hard work goes into something like JCE, we're simply not aware of it until somebody shows it to us. And I can't think of anybody better to show it to us than you do, which is absolutely fantastic. Really appreciate you coming here. And anytime that you have something that you want to highlight to a group, please reach out to me and we'll get you in here again. We can't have you in here too many times. It's awesome having you around.
It's my pleasure. Thank you.
Yeah. Next month, we're going to have Olivier. And Olivier was actually our very first presenter in this group. And it's been a long time. So I asked him, are you ready to do something new? And yes, he is. So he is going to tell us about all the new things involved with the guided tours feature of Joomla. And because I know a whole bunch of stuff's been going on with that. And so that's who's going to be next month doing stuff with us. So Bob, did you say you wanted to open up to chat, or do you? We don't have Tim here to do the official radio voice.
No, but thank you, Ryan. Everyone's saying thank you.
It's my pleasure. Thank you.
Appreciate it. What a great presentation. I'm glad you were open to taking so many
questions. Thank
you. I know Ellen had a question about discovery, and if anyone could do a quick demo on that. Otherwise, I would recommend maybe reaching out to Tim Davis, because he does migration help for Migrate Me 4, 3 to 4, and that can sometimes be a part of it, because there's a lot of things that are carried over from J3 to J4. And so you'll find that they're still there when you do discovery and when you want to clean up your sites. You may not want that carried over anymore. You replaced it with the Joomla 4 version of that, or a totally different solution in Joomla 4 than what you had as a solution in Joomla 3 as far as components go. And so sometimes they don't uninstall well. So what you would do is you'd go into your FTP and remove it there. But he is always willing, Ellen, to set up a Zoom meeting with you and teach you really good tricks like that. And he probably covers it on his channel if I never watch his channel.
I'll look.
But I prefer the real Tim. I just have meetings with him. I don't go and look at his channel. Everyone else does. But yeah, that's what the discovery button means. But I don't know if anyone else has a better description of that and how it could.
Well, it also helps when you, if you've done what I've done over the years, which is, I've noticed that I never use banners anywhere. I've built over 100 Joomla sites. Not a single one ever used banners, or web links for that matter. Actually, that's not it. I had one website that used web links. And so I started getting in the habit of like, leaner is better, meaning less stuff. Well, not always, but I discovered that during updates, especially major versions, that sometimes created issues. But the Discover feature will, like pop up and say, hey, you can reinstall banners. And I'm like, no, thank you. But that's one of the things that you can use banners for. If you accidentally deleted like one of the things that comes with Joomla, quote unquote, that hasn't been toggled in the database as non-uninstallable. There are a few of them that are, you cannot uninstall them because, well, they would just break everything. And there's a few things that can be uninstalled. And so it will bring them back for you.
So here's an interesting thing about the banners component. I did not know this, but Brian Tiemann reached out to me and showed me how he uses the banner component, and he uses it with the Bootstrap carousel functionality. And so you can literally very easily use that banners component to have a really slick and very easy to put together Bootstrap carousel that dissolves and does, and it's awesome. So, you know, guys like Ryan, who really understand and know how Joomla works and what's going on, can reach into those things and use them in ways that we haven't even thought of. So when he showed me that, I was really impressed because I was trying to, you know, do that functionality on a website myself, and then I just thought, wow, I had no idea. So that's why these kinds of groups are fantastic. So if you ever want to use a carousel with the Bootstrap functionality, you should check out, he's got it on his blog, how it's done, and he's willing to, you know, just show you and give you the code for that.
Yeah, Brian is really
and Brian is all and Brian is all about using the core.
Yeah.
So yes, that's an important kind of concept. I know some people, especially around Joomla 2.5 and 3, kind of had a tendency to, oh, look at that, there's an extension for this. Oh, look at that, there's a module for that. And, but, you know, very quickly your site ended up with 30, 40 things. And when it comes to upgrading to a next new version, that makes it more challenging. I have to say I'm not core only because there are things that I use that are not core, but I've limited it to what I call, and this is not to be mean to other people, but what the top tier developers for Joomla, meaning, you know, the people like Ryan, the people like Tassos, the people like Nicholas from Akiba, like all these people that are so active and they just constantly updating their stuff and taking input from users. And so I consider them the top 1 providers. And I know that unless there's a regular labs too, unless there's a really good reason for it, they're going to, not for it, they're going to update whatever that is to the next major release. And so I've been sticking to that. And even though it's tempting, like, oh, I need this one functionality. Let me see if there's something on extensions.joomla.org. But the problem is when you look at, you know, those providers and they have like 3 comments and, you know, the last update was from 18 months ago, it makes me weary about, you know, am I going to be able to have it for the next version?
I'm just gonna
Ryan, you look like you were gonna add something to that, right?
Ellen was gonna elaborate on her question, I think.
Oh, okay.
To not get
No,
away.
I was just going to say that I have one incident where there's like 4 plugins in the discovery panel, but then when I go to extensions or plugins and I look for them, they don't exist. So then,
yeah,
you know, okay, do I go to the file manager and try to find them there? But if I am able to find them and I delete them from there, first, do I know that I'm not deleting something I shouldn't? And second, do I also have to go to the database and delete it there? And so I'm afraid I'm getting into an area where I don't want to.
So the best policy,
leave it alone.
The best policy, Ellen, if you have an actual case like that, I can take some time off of this meeting and show you. But the best policy is not to delete from your file manager. First is to rename that directory so you don't lose the files. Just rename it to like whatever the name of it is. Number 2, then retest your site, make sure it's loading, you know, with error reporting to maximum, and there's no weird shit coming up. No new messages in console, stuff like that. If you've done that and it's renamed to 2, then there's a pretty good chance that those files are not being used if you test your site enough. That's the first approach. And then, of course, yes, the database after. But like I said, if you have a concrete example of that you're running into and you want some a quick look, I can guide you if you want.
Don't forget that Discover is effectively a form of install, because what it does is it's the developer's best friend, because when you're making a plugin or something, you're not going to package it to make it installable. It's going to sit in the plugins folder or whatever you're doing, and the Discover tool is going to look at it and go, oh, you've got a manifest file for that and all the files. This thing is installable. If you use the Discover tool and effectively install that without doing it via the upload method that you usually do with a plugin, that will essentially install it. It'll stick it into the database and other things, which usually is okay, unless it's a plugin that might auto-enable itself or something like that, which could break the site. So don't do it on a live site, do it on a development site. But if it doesn't do anything bad, then you can usually straight uninstall it. Obviously, for you guys that are going from Joomla 3 and you're converting Joomla 3 to Joomla 4 sites, you're going to have a lot of old plugins that probably won't be compatible straight away. And so you might encounter problems if you use that Discover tool like that. But sometimes it's a clean way to get rid of a plugin, is to install it and then uninstall it, because the uninstall routine in that plugin will get rid of all the files. And Joomla's uninstall system will do it properly. But the caveat is that that's an unknown, that plugin that you're going to effectively install on the site. So it could cause issues that if you're not kind of technically knowledgeable enough, might be difficult to get rid of. Like having to, well, if you not comfortable going into the database and deleting files and stuff like that. But usually with a plugin, a system plugin are the ones that cause the most problems, because they're always active on every page. A system plugin is run on every single page. The quickest way to disable a system plugin is to go into your database, the extensions table, find it and push enabled to 0, from 1 to 0. So if something trashes your site and you think it's a system plugin, go and try and find it in the extensions table and put that 1 to 0 in the enabled thing. I'm sure you were going to say that, Bjorn, but
this is what Tim helps, but I've done that many times because I've had to migrate all of these sites, and
yeah, you guys are brave going from 4 to 5. I mean, 3 to 4 and 5 like that all the time. I know it's probably your jobs to do that. I've actually just recently did it with the JCE site. I was running on version 3 for the longest time, and I pulled it all the way to version 5, going to 4 first, and then 5, and I had to rewrite a lot of stuff, especially because I didn't want the backward compatibility thing. But yeah, if that's your job, you guys are brave to do that. That's a lot of work. Anyway, I have to go. Thank you very much.
Actually, it's not that much work, Ryan. It really isn't. It depends on how the website was built in 3.
Yeah,
it really is all about
everything's different, and every one of us do things differently. So we're all encountering different problems, but you've been very supportive in the last year, getting us, encouraging people to move on to the next one. So thank you, everyone who's encouraged me.
Yeah, thank you, Ryan, again.
Yeah, for being here.
Yeah, thank you. I must be off. Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you
for inviting me, and thank you for hearing me talk.
See you.
Remember, there's a sale on until the end of the month.
Alan, thank you for bringing that up, and continue these conversations and continue to ask for help for people who have offered. If you go through the website, and for those who look for the recording, I did list the YouTube channel, but I also share it once the video is loaded, which sometimes takes a couple days. But that'll also be on the Facebook page, and anyone I saw who added their email using the link, I've already added them. So thank you for that. And it's a very small group, but it's a strong group, and there's great people in it. And we're having some full meetings and some great presentations. So thank you, everyone. And Joe, since Tim is not here, do you want to do the closeout?
Sure. Yeah. Well, thank you, everybody. We really appreciate you being a part of this. You're the reason we do it. And so until we see you again, I hope that you all have great success and your jobs and your personal life prosper. Have a great week.
Thank you.
Bye for now.
Thank you. Bye.